Yay. Okay, awesome. All right, let him in. I feel bad, but we've had him waiting.
Also, I have to go through and let everybody in one by one. You know what? I think my new goal is to figure this out.
Oh my gosh, what is happening to
Steph,
my
oh,
camera?
scary.
This is this
We're
is an
haunted already.
entrance.
Steph is living a horror movie right now.
Holy
Literally, this is
smokes.
terrifying.
Oh my, let me just turn my stop and start here. Oh no.
Let you.
Oh
You can't now?
no. Yeah.
Oh
Oh
no.
no.
Oh
Wait, where
no.
did I go? Can you see me?
Hmm.
I don't see me.
I can see you. Hi, everyone.
Hi everyone.
Hello, hello. Thank you.
Um, Before we get started, Naomi, I think Steph can't be seen anymore. Can you
Yeah,
turn
Inconsistent.
off
I'm
the?
trying to figure it out. So thanks everyone for your
Okay.
patience. I am clearly not very versed in Zoom, and so just give me a second here.
If you guys have questions for us and stuff, if you can start putting them in, that would be awesome. Should we
Or we could just do
do
like a little
little
introduction.
intros?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking
Or
too.
like for
Okay.
everyone in the chat. Like maybe you could put in, I don't know, the your favorite last horror book you read, maybe where you're joining from. You can be broad or specific.
Welcome. All right.
All right.
Yay, Steph's
Yay,
back.
I'm
Cool.
back and not scary.
Okay, good. I don't see Rachel, but that's okay. I'm just gonna pretend like I can see everybody. So thank you, everybody, for coming to the Women in Horror Celebration panel. I recognize a lot of you from my book club, and I know that Rachel recognized some people in the waiting room. So we're super excited to have you here. I thought I would kick it off with a question that was asked in my Discord that I thought was a really, really great way to start, which is what got you into horror? Was it a movie? Was it a book? Who wants to go first?
That's a good
I have to
question.
think a second.
Yeah.
I know it is.
Um, I don't know because I grew up in a house where my TV was simultaneously very censored. Like I couldn't watch The Simpsons or anything like that. But my mom was also watching a lot of Lifetime original movies, which are horror. I that's like a hill I die on. Those movies were absolutely horrifying. But I think that and Unsolved Mysteries and then reading Flowers in the Attic
Ooh.
kind of swirled me into this strange horror-seeking weirdo that you see before you. And then
Flowers.
Mine?
also the Fear
I'm
Street
sorry.
books by R.L. Stein.
I never
Um,
read those.
I was all about Fear Street.
Really?
I've never picked up a Goosebump in my life, but I was all about Fear Street and I was also all about Christopher Pike. And I bought like an original, like old school Christopher Pike book, like on eBay or something. And I would love to get into reading those again. Also read Flowers in the Attic. I don't know how that would hold up now. I would love to do like a reread of it and just like I think that would be a lot of fun.
My
Um,
book club read it, I think not maybe not last year, but at some point we all read it together and it was a whole different kind of thing
yeah,
reading it now.
yeah,
I should not have been reading that.
yeah, no, not at all. Very,
I
very
was like
young.
11 when I found it and no.
Yeah. I think to date myself, I think my first experience with horror was probably watching horror movies, and I was probably 8 or 9 years old watching A Nightmare on Elm Street. And I probably should not have been doing that either.
I
The
like
practical effects in that movie are scary still. They hold up.
Yeah.
I hated horror. Like growing up, I was so scared of anything scary. I did not watch any scary movies. I didn't read Goosebumps. I didn't read anything scary. And I feel like my first exposure that made me like want to read horror books was, if you guys remember, I think it came out in like 2014. It Follows, the movie came out. Have you guys seen that
Oh, I
movie?
love that
I
movie.
still love that movie. It's still one of my favorite horror movies. And I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, I love this. And I feel like after that is when I started reading horror books. And here I am now.
I'm trying to think, are there any horror books written by men or women that give off It Follows vibes?
Great. That's such a great question. Like,
Good
it's such a good
question,
idea
yeah.
for a video. I'm trying to think. I'll have to think about it.
Okay,
I love that movie so much.
I did too. It was really, really
Mhm.
good.
I don't think I've encountered anything yet, but I would also like to know the answer.
Yeah.
I love one of my favorite type of videos to watch is when people say like this movie gives off
hmm
book. Love that. Even though like they don't have to be like exactly the same, but just like the kind of
Yeah.
vibe. I like that
Mhm.
a lot.
It's like, if you loved this, then you'll love this.
Mhm.
I was always just obsessed with scary things. Like, I used to do a lot of home videos. I would take my dad's like old, camcorder that he had to make like our family home videos, and I would create these like terrifying clips using like the black and white effect. There was a lot of shaky cam happening. I was obsessed with like putting bruises and blood on my face. Like, I would get into like my mother's makeup and use it to create terrible, terrible things on myself.
Were
Um,
your parents concerned?
no, I was in theater.
Oh, okay, okay.
They were like,
That
yeah,
makes
they
I
sense.
were
want
like,
to I want to see these videos.
this is standard.
Okay,
Oh my
gotcha.
gosh. Well, I don't know if everyone here knows, but I'm an actor, and I think the best audition I ever got was they said, like, we just want to see clips of you emulating like the woman from like The Ring. So like I had like my long hair, I'm like crawling
The
down
hair's
the hallway,
perfect for it.
like jerking. But like for books, I loved scary stories to tell in the dark. I was really obsessed with retelling them, like reading them myself. I was like, this is okay. I could improve upon this and scare my friends. I also just loved watching, secretly watching horror movies. My favorite, I mean, it's more science fiction than true horror, but I do think it has a lot of horror elements. My favorite movie still to this day is Jurassic Park. And I would force my siblings to like reenact specifically the velociraptors in the kitchen scene I was obsessed with. So I'm like, brother, velociraptor. Sister and me,
Are you the oldest child or no?
I am the oldest child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
Like,
like
this sounds
Animorphs.
relatable.
Animorphs, another one that's not like true horror, but like is true horror.
Jurassic Park is horror. I would consider it horror too. Like you said, more sci-fi, but it scared me too. I remember hiding behind like my mom's recliner, like big lounge chair. And I was like, tell me when this is over, but also like peeking
Yeah.
behind because I am a wuss, but I do love horror. So
Yeah, definitely horror. And I love books that are genre bending.
Mhm.
I think Annihilation does that a little bit too, because it's more like towards science fiction, but I think it's a little horror-y as well. So I asked the panelists to bring some of their favorite books written by women. I would love to see one that you all selected. I don't know.
I feel like we're gonna have a lot of similar
We are. So if you have the
choices.
same book planned, like raise your hand or like throw it up.
most of my physical books are in boxes right now, so I
Okay.
had no like real, but I recently read Hungerstone.
Oh, I'm excited about that one. I haven't read it yet.
And I had a really good time. It's more gothic. It's a feminist retelling of Carmilla, so it's vampires, but they've got those horror. We are the same.
I haven't read it. I haven't read it yet though. I put it up for my book club to choose because I have a women in horror book club. I picked it for them to vote on and no one voted for it. And I think that was the time that made me realize that I'm going to start just choosing the book club.
I chose this for our
Spoiler
book club.
alert if you're in my book club.
We're reading this with my book club, Weirdo Book Club now.
Yeah.
And I
Is that
chose it.
Xando?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited about that one.
Hold on. Be right back.
I thought she was going to tell us about the book. I haven't read it yet.
Scurrying off. I'm sorry.
She
I'll be right
disappeared.
back.
She said, read it, and she sprinted away.
I've got nothing else to
She
say.
said, go right now.
Right this second. Okay, I can't find the other one, but so it's sapphic but feminist retelling of Carmilla, which is the Dracula story that, or it predated Dracula, the classic vampire story. It's very gothic. It's slow, like, but not in a bad way. I'm usually like one that if it gets too slow, I'm like, get out of my way, you know. But I liked it. It was delicious and time well spent, and I'm really enjoying it. And some of my book club has already finished, and that was pretty impressive to me because I took my time with it because it was so good. Because I don't read a lot of slow books that I want to spend time with. When they start to be too slow, I'll put them down and try again at another time when I'm looking for something like that. I'm hardly ever looking for that, but this was so nice and just good. I don't know. I don't know.
Wait, you said you finished it or you're almost done with it?
I did finish it.
Yeah, okay. I'm so excited. It sounds great.
Is
Naomi,
this
you
your,
said something, but
yeah.
I couldn't hear you.
Is this your book club pick for this month?
Yes, we're
Okay.
reading it for March. I have another copy of another horror book that we read last month. That is another favorite of mine, Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson. And it's such a pretty cover. I don't know what I did with it, but it's a sapphic. They're all sapphic, I guess, but it's a sapphic horror novella about a youngish woman, like 20-something woman. She meets another woman who's super cute at a farmer's market. And yes, look at us. I mean, I'm so glad you're here because I don't know where my copy went. But
That
it's
was
so
cannibalism,
good.
isn't it?
The cover is really freaking gorgeous on this. I think
Yes.
all of her covers are really good. I actually brought Guillotine to talk about because I finished this one and I am completely obsessed with this book.
Love that
Really?
one
I haven't
too.
read anything by this
If
author.
you hate billionaires and millionaires and you are looking for something, this is it. This is truly it.
It was really nice.
Bloom is on my to read soon list.
Okay, now I
All
feel
right.
bad because
Anybody else?
I didn't bring like
I know,
physical
me either. I
books.
just
I
got them
mean,
in my mind.
yeah,
I didn't
I'm like,
bring
I don't actually, I don't own a ton of what I talk about.
If I have them close by, I'll pull them.
Okay.
Okay, but one of my recent faves is Jackal by Erin E. Adams. Um, I feel like this is a book like for the theater kids. It's just very theatrical, and the author is actually a playwright, so it does check out. She just sets her scenes very well. Um, and the general gist is that there's this young woman who moved away from her kind of like sinister small town, not very accepting, like almost all white, if not all white. And then she swears she's never going to come back, but then her best friend is getting married. So she's like, fine, I'll come back for like one day and it'll be one and done. But then she comes back and her best friend's daughter disappears. And so she starts investigating this disappearance and she kind of uncovers this dark history of a lot of young Black girls who have disappeared in these same woods. And like kind of leading up, you don't know if it's like a human villain or a supernatural villain, but there are some really, really good twists. If you're just like small town conspiracy, sinister things lurking in the forest. Oh, yes, who dropped the cover in the chat?
Thank
Thank
you
you for
so much
doing
for
that.
dropping
It
the
is
cover.
a
That is,
really good
yes.
cover. Um,
We read
it's
that for
such
my
a good
book club too.
I love Jackal. You know this author's coming out with a new book this year?
yeah, it's on my
Oh.
list.
Do you know what it's
I
called?
love Jackal. I think it's One of Us something. Knows. One of Us
Wait,
knows.
I have it written down. Hold on. One of you.
One of
Oh.
you. Yeah, I remember it was supposed to come out like last year because I remember I messaged the publisher. I was like, please, I need an arc of this. I love Jackal so much. I talked about it so much on my TikTok. They were like, the pub date got pushed back a year. I'm like, no. So hopefully it's actually coming out this year. I'm so excited. I haven't heard much about the new book, but
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it.
yeah.
But no,
me either.
like I was saying to the three folks here before that when I was making my list for this Zoom, I realized that 5 of my favorite horror authors whose books I talk about all the time are coming out with new books this year. So I'm
Love
so
that.
excited about that.
And Isabel Cañas probably is one of them. Someone just dropped that in the chat.
Yeah.
Talked about her yet. We did not, but she is absolutely one of my favorites. I loved The Hacienda and Vampires of El Norte so much, and I'm really looking forward to her new book this year.
Yeah, The Possession of Alba Diaz. I'm so excited, but I got kicked out of Berkeley's like influencer group this year, and I'm like, no, because I need
All
that.
right.
I'm like, I need a
Clearly they made a
copy.
grave error if the three of us got
I was
So
never in it, so
Mm.
they're tough. So I'm gonna have to. I've actually already pre-ordered my copy, but that doesn't even come out till August, I don't think. But I cannot wait for that.
So you can actually, I've had success since I've been kicked out and emailing them directly and asking them to send me
Okay,
some.
I might try that.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what happened years ago when The Vampires of El Norte came out. I was not part of their program and I like complained about it on TikTok. I'm like, I need this. I love the Hacienda. And I think
Yeah.
they ended up getting me an arc that way, but I cannot wait for the possession of Alphagias.
Does anyone know offhand when that one is coming out?
I
I think
just pulled it
August.
up because I'm adding things to my TBR. It says it's the possession of Alba
Mm.
Diaz,
Yeah.
Mhm.
August 19th, 2025.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think a lot of them on my list are coming out this summer.
Yeah. That one's great. And Jackal too, also it's set in like a small Appalachian town too. So if we have anyone from Appalachia, I feel like I enjoyed that part of it from somebody from the area. Jackal's so great. Okay, I I can't decide which one I want to talk about. Okay, so literally like this week I finished Our Sheriff Night by Mariana Enriquez. Have you guys read that?
Oh, look, she's
It took
reaching
me
for it.
yeah, thank you, Naomi. I don't want a copy of it, so I put this book off for so long because of the length. Like I was so intimidated by the length. I think it's like 600 something pages,
Oh,
yet
yeah.
gorgeous. Um, and I am so glad that I finally read it. If anybody else is like putting it off because of the length, just like suck it up and get into it because it's so good. It's definitely slow paced. But it's set in Argentina. The author is Argentinian, and it's about a family. The story starts with a father and a son, and the father is like really sick and dying. And we're told at the beginning of the story that his wife has died recently, and his son is like, I think at the beginning of the story, he's maybe like 5. Um, and the wife's family was part of this big like cult basically, and the husband was used as a medium to speak with the darkness, which is this like dark entity that they worship. And so this father is trying to get his son away from this cult, that his wife's family wants to use the son for all these different reasons and stuff. It is so good. It has like a lot of flashes back and forth with time. This is Our Share of Night by Mariana Enriquez. So a lot of it's set in like the 1970s, 1980s, around the time of like the Dirty War in Argentina. So there's like a big political background with it as well. Masterpiece. So, so, so good. I loved it. Oh, you're muted, Naomi.
Always. I'm so glad you said that because I have been putting this off because it's so thick. Like like this year I've just really gotten an aversion to really thick books.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to hear that you like it.
I went through that same thing with the reformatory. I was like, I don't know if I can do the reformatory because also I know it's gonna like be so painful to read, but I did it.
I have that on my list. That's probably like my favorite horror book ever.
I'm only a little bit in, but it's exciting.
So
Really?
I loved the reformatory. My book club recently read The Good House by Tananarive Due. I actually like this one a little bit better than the reformatory, but it was
Interesting.
it was written like in the 1990s. And it's about a haunted house. So like for me, you can't go wrong with a haunted house. There's also
a haunted house.
and it's so good.
I love The Between by Tananarive Due also. I haven't read The Good House, but The Between is excellent. Tananarive Due is like, she's my favorite. She's the best.
Wait,
My first time to review, so I'm
Really?
excited.
that was my
Yeah.
favorite. Wait, I want to pitch another haunted house book now. That
Okay.
has a really good cover. So if anyone has it, please show it. Delicious Monsters by Lascelles Sambury. Oh, it's so good. It's YA. Yeah, maybe someone will drop it in the chat if none of us have it. It's YA. It takes place in 2 separate timelines. So in the first timeline, there's this teenager who can see dead people, and then her and her mom kind of like move away. She is going through like a bunch of stuff like in the city with like her personal life and her friends and her breaking up. And so they move to like this old house, more in like the country that her mom, there it is. Oh, it's so good. That belonged to her mom, and then like a lot of terrible things go down there. And then the other half of it takes place 10 years in the future, where we're following this like group of like crime show hosts, and they're doing an episode or a series featured on the house and what happened there. And it's just this like really deep exploration of like childhood trauma and healing from childhood trauma, but also very spooky haunted house vibes, and like very, very satisfying ending and justice. And like it's sad, but you're not like devastated at the end. It's a beautiful book, beautiful story.
I think that you allowed me to segue into a book that will absolutely devastate you. And I didn't know I didn't know if I wanted to talk about it because I know there are a little bit of mixed reactions, but the book is Brother by Anya Alborn. And this book completely destroyed my life while reading it.
Yeah, we read that with my book club.
Did your book club enjoy it?
Let me join your book club. Like you've got so many good.
Yeah.
You need to join. It seems like you've been reading a lot of good books.
Please do. We be reading some weird, fun stuff.
So it's about a young man who has a very troubled family, a family of serial killers. This book ruined my life.
Isn't it in Appalachia too?
It is in Appalachia as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I think that is the only way for me to recommend this book. Like, if you want your life to be ruined, you should read it. It's very
I love that.
And she's written so many books. I didn't realize that she's written like 10
You
or
messed
12.
me up with another book that I can't remember the name of, but it's about like a religious cult. Anyone? No, no one knows the title.
Horror book?
By her?
Yeah,
By
same
Anya?
author.
Yeah. Oh.
I know there's The Shuddering.
Good Neighbors?
I'll
No?
Google it. I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Because I had Anya Auburn's on my list of like one of my favorites. Like I read Seed, The Shuddering.
Within these walls. Within these walls.
Yeah.
Oh, Within These Walls. Yeah, that's on my list. I've got a bunch of her books because as soon as I read those three that I listed, the first two, Seed and The Shuddering, I was like, well, I need to read the whole thing. So all the stuff that she makes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you recommended that because I never ever would have picked that book up because the cover is really ugly. But now that you recommended it, maybe
Yeah,
I
her
will.
covers, they're not the best.
The cover could definitely
Is
use.
she like self-published or no?
No, it's with Gallery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Enzy.
And you were gonna have to let me know when you like. I want a reading vlog.
Okay.
Okay, but then
Live reactions for that
I also
one.
want you to text me while you're reading it because
Okay.
there's moments in this book where it's like, what the hell is what? No.
I love a book like that. Okay. I'm making my own list.
I'm
from
doing
this
the
video.
list.
I love it.
I'm trying to keep up with everything we said, but I know I missed some.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Please send it to me.
I'm gonna be writing them all down.
Okay, perfect.
I just finished a horror book the other day too. Sorry if I'm like interrupting the order, but called Shy Girl by Mia Ballard. Has anybody heard of that?
No.
It just came out March 1st. And it was insane. I'm still like trying to decide if I like it or not. It was the novella. And Caitlin, the cover of Shy Girl or Within These Walls? I love the Shy Girl cover.
Don't love the
but it's
Within These Walls cover. So
yeah. I was like, if it's Within These Walls, you're on your own. But no, I love the Shy Girl cover. But it's about this girl. She's like, well, a woman. She's like 30, and her life is kind of a mess. Like she has lost her job. She can't pay rent, so she decides to join a sugar daddy website. And she meets a guy on the website who wants her to be his pet dog for 8 hours a day, and he will pay her. And things go very wrong. So I just finished that this week. It was disgusting. Probably like if I think about like some of the most like messed up books I've ever read, it's probably like Tender as a Flesh and then Shy Girl. Like it is insane. But a very quick read.
Have you read any Eric LaRocca? Like Things Have Gotten Worse since we last spoke? Would you say
I have not. But I do
that's
have like his new book, the audio. I have the audiobook on Libro FM.
yeah, his books are disgusting, and I feel
Disgusting.
like this gives off. I read two of them. I read Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, and I don't remember what the other one is called, but this one definitely gives off those kind of vibes.
Yeah, just like warning though, like this is like a messed up book. So definitely like look into all the content warnings and stuff if you're wanting to read this one, but it is very bizarre, very crazy.
Oh, I love the
Um,
cover of Shy Girl.
I
It's so
know. I'm
good.
yeah.
looking at
Put it
it
in
And
the
it made me
too.
chat.
want to read
Did.
this author's written another book called Sugar, which is also a horror, I think.
Okay.
And it made me want to read that one too, but I haven't yet.
Oh,
I did.
Sugar is a really good cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and it's about witchcraft.
Oh, Sugar is?
Mhm.
Oh, I love that.
Love, betrayal, murder, and witchcraft. I think that I've been sold by that description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ballard. I'm glad I have all these pages that are blank so I can fill them up.
Yes.
So I've got another kind of haunted house one. My book club read this, Diavola, if anyone has read this yet. One of my favorite reads from last year, truly, about a woman who goes on vacation with her family in an Italian villa, and the house is haunted. But like I really liked this. I think that this should have won awards, honestly. I really liked the family dynamic. I think the family dynamic and
They
all of
were a mess.
with the family was such a mess that it made the
Yeah.
story so much better. This is
This is Diavola. Yeah.
Diavola.
Yavola. I read a
Yeah, I
couple
love that book.
short horror stories over like the Christmas break because you got to get in the season somehow. So I read Goddess of Filth by V. Castro and Come Closer by Sarah Gran. And Sarah Gran's Demon Possession, Come Closer is Demon Possession. And it's just like this slow build and descent into chaos. And then the Goddess of Filth was very the craft. There
Mhm.
was like a little group of friends. They have a seance. One of them starts acting very strange after the seance. Have y'all read those?
I have, yeah.
Mm-mm.
I've read
They're-
Goddess of Filth.
It was good. I
Yeah.
loved both of those.
Yeah.
That's good to
Goddess of
know.
Filth.
Have you guys, oh, sorry. Have you guys I read a book by V. Castro this year that I hated.
Oh, her new one, I'm sure. The
Yeah,
Haunting
what
of
was it called?
Alejandra.
Oh my God. No, not that one.
Guilty Pleasures or something pleasures,
No.
something.
Oh, what was it called? I'll have to look it up.
I have
Immortal Pleasures. Yeah.
Immortal Pleasures, yeah. I
Have you
haven't
guys read that?
heard more stuff.
Hated that. But that's good to know.
Huh.
But I haven't read The Haunting of Alejandra, and I know people
I have
love that.
I haven't
Read
either, but
that.
the reviews on that were really, really mixed. They
I
were
thought it
mixed
was like
enough for me to not pick.
fine.
Yeah.
Like it was the
Okay,
most
just kind of
fine book
mid.
to ever be fine. Yeah. So I don't think I've talked about
Really?
it at all because I didn't like hate it enough to talk about it, but I didn't like it enough to talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the
Goddess
cover of
Filth
Goddess
is
of Filth. I'll have
great.
to try that one. Okay. Good to
And
know.
The Queen of Cicadas is her best book. It
Okay.
won the Stoker Award.
Queen of
Oh
Cicada.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't even heard of it.
It's about a woman and a haunted farm and a goddess. It's just very V. Castro, but it is her best, truly.
Okay.
Mm.
Good to know.
Cicadas are scary
Ooh.
on their own.
Exactly. I don't get them here.
Oh,
I
I
didn't even know
wish.
what a
Oh,
cicada
that's
was until I
lucky.
picked this book.
Oh my God. Yeah. No. When they start screaming, so do I.
And just like the body is all on the ground. That's the worst part, is when you're just like you can't walk anywhere without
That,
like
and then
running.
also
Yeah.
know if it's actually a body or if it's them and they're just waiting for you to turn around so they can chase you. I've been chased by these things. I hate them.
I just
And
stay
I
in my
like
house during
bugs.
cicada season.
It's just
Horror
rude.
with bugs, like I'm into that.
Infested. That's not by a woman though. Cut.
Oh, I haven't heard of that. Who's the guy?
Turn your camera off
About
again.
bugs?
No, I won't be able to come back.
We can tolerate one or two mentions of
We can
mentions of the
allow
men.
one man to enter the chat. It's an MTV Fear novel, which is really interesting. It's about
Huh.
like this teenage boy. His dad is like involved with construction of these new apartments in New York. And as they're like renovating this new apartment, his family like comes in and lives there. There are like these bugs that may be real or maybe ghostly bugs that start to appear everywhere. And then like the ghosts of like past tenants and some like angry spirits and
Ooh.
people, angry that others are coming in and gentrifying their neighborhood. So it's an interesting mix.
Who was this by?
Um, Angel Luis Colon.
Oh, I see. Infested. Okay. One dude.
One dude. Everybody can drop one dude.
No more allowed.
No more than
No
one.
more. Quota.
Okay, I will talk about another one because it's sitting right here looking at me. If you haven't read it yet, it's Green Fuse Burning by Tiffany Morris. This is one of my favorite Indigenous horror. It's a sapphic cottagecore swampy horror.
Ooh.
About a woman who's struggling with her career. Her father dies. She's struggling with the relationship. She goes to a cottage to work on a project. And it gets really creepy. This is really, really good for people who I think the writing is a little bit lyrical, but it's also it's fun.
I
And
have not read
you need the
Feast While You
physical copy because the cover is incredible.
That one has
It
been
is.
on my list. I've been having trouble finding a copy on my like usual sources. I requested it at my library. I've been on Pango Books, but it's been
Yeah.
one I've been wanting to read.
I saw someone ask in the chat, has anyone read Feast While You Can? I love the cover and I'm excited to read it, but I haven't read
I
it.
have it. It is on
Kristen,
my
do you recommend
library.
it?
Sapphic horror. Let me write it down.
And
Books. I
Kat
feel like
said,
books maybe.
thoughts on Mother Thing. I feel like Mother Thing is not horror.
Oh,
I have read Mother
Never
Thing
read
and
it.
I like it. What'd you say, Naomi?
I said say more.
Have you read it?
No.
Oh, okay. I like Mother Thing. Steph, have you read Mother Thing?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I like it, but I feel like it is so much more like a weird literary fiction. For me, it falls in the same kind of vein as like Our Wives Under the Sea, where it's got like a little bit of like soft horror aspects, but it's not like, I don't know if I would call it a full-on horror, but I do like Mother Thing. I don't have big, strong feelings about it, but I liked it. It was a good, like, little weird girl.
So I brought And Then She Fell by Alicia Elliott, which I think probably similar to Mother Thing. It's like more, I think it's like a literary horror, but like also uses like sci-fi elements as well.
Ooh.
It is about a new mother going through postpartum depression and has a lot of interesting comments on colonialism and mental illness and motherhood.
That sounds good.
Interesting.
So I would say it's like I say it's literary horror, but it also pulls in from other genres.
As a mother, that being a mother is scary in a way
I think,
that
yeah.
I didn't know it could be tapped into within a horror. Like I know the stressors and like what it takes to like parent young people, but like to have them turned into horror themes. I read Delicate Condition by Danielle Valentine, and this was a more like pregnancy kind of thing. So she hadn't had her baby yet, but she starts to kind of come undone while she's pregnant. It also has a lot of like medical gaslighting, like that her doctors aren't listening to her. Her husband or partner isn't listening to her. She starts to see and feel things. It's really gruesome. I actually listened to it on my way to BookNet Fest last year.
I did her launch event with her. I like interviewed her. I
Oh,
love
no way.
Fun.
Yeah. It was also there was a season, I haven't watched it, but there was a season of American Horror Story that's based on that book.
Oh, cool.
I didn't know it was based off that. Is it the season with Kim Kardashian?
Yeah, because it's called
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's called something like
Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, that's so funny. I didn't realize it was based off that book. I'll have to
I
read
don't
that.
know if it's like the exact same storyline, but
Sure.
I think close.
Yeah. Oh, fun.
Booknet Fest
I
mentioned.
Hey, Rachel.
I feel like horror about motherhood is awesome. Like I would love to read more of it. I read The Push, which is not horror, but like has like more like thriller kind of. And I loved that book so much. Bye Gabby. But yeah, I think I am not a parent, but I'm child free by choice and I do not want to have kids. And the idea of like I don't know,
Good
motherhood
job.
just
Good
seems
choice. I love my
sounds
kids,
so
but man, it's
terrifying.
hard.
It seems so terrifying. So I feel like more
Mhm.
horror about motherhood
Like I
should
only want to
definitely
read
be
about pregnancy in horror form. It's where it belongs.
That's the thing too, is
right.
like now that I'm past having children, I'm not having any more children. My kids are almost grown, which is weird, but I'm far enough away that the horror around pregnancy and motherhood doesn't like deep cut me where I'm upset for days, because I think it would have,
Right.
like if I was reading Delicate Condition while I was pregnant, that would
Oh
have
my God.
done something to me. So
Right.
I
I'm
think she
excited
wrote
to
it while she
explore
was
more of it.
pregnant.
Wait, do what?
I'm pretty sure she wrote it
That's
while she was
crazy.
pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
Like
That's
so
even
real.
more
So
authentic.
kind of relatable.
Yeah, that makes sense because it felt very like immersive in the whole. She wrote very well, I thought, about how it feels like to be in your body and experiencing these things and nobody's listening to you. It's so fun. It's so fun.
Yeah, just like the medical like gaslighting portion of it, I
Yeah.
found very
Mhm.
relatable. I've, never been pregnant, hopefully won't be. But I do have a chronic illness, so like that aspect of just like not being believed, not being listened to, like being told things about your own body that just aren't true was super relatable. Also makes me want to recommend Lakewood,
Mm.
which is like a medical experimentation fever dream of a book.
Ooh,
I
And some
haven't.
people
I
hate
haven't read
it,
it
but I
yet.
love it.
who wrote
I
it?
didn't love Lakewood.
Megan
Megan Giddings, right?
Giddings. She also wrote The Women Could Fly, and she has a new book coming up this year.
Hmm.
Did
We should
you
talk about new releases.
did you like The
Oh, sorry,
Women
Naomi.
Who Could Fly?
I did.
Okay.
I
New
didn't.
releases. New releases. The Bat Eater in before anybody else.
Before we all come and recommending it, Aubrey and I have read it and
Yes.
really liked it, right? Yeah. I don't
We
Yes.
haven't read
I
it.
gave it 5 stars.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
It's one
Oh
of
my
my,
Mhm.
gosh.
it was one of my like very few 5 stars from last year.
I loved Bat Eater. I think it's out in the UK already, so I've seen a lot of people talk
Yeah.
about it, or maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Um,
This is my Women in Horror book club read for July. So
okay, you're gonna love it.
yeah, excited about that.
I have that cover too. This is what is the box called? I can't think of it.
It's the Evernight subscription. It's the horror subscription.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I
Out of
mean,
Illumicrate, right?
it is
Yeah.
the book is it's so scary. Just as someone who was living in NYC in 2020 and 2021, which is when the book takes place, it's this combination of like just the horror of COVID. So just
Oh,
also a note, if you're like not ready to handle that in a book, like avoid this one.
Yeah.
And also like the fear of being an East Asian woman in NYC
mhm.
at the time, at the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
And then there's also supernatural elements.
Yeah.
So it's this blend of like, is there a real killer? Are there these hungry ghosts that are like lurking after their deaths? The main character, she witnesses her sister be pushed in front of a subway, be murdered. Um, Horrific. What a way to open a book. That's the first
I
chapter.
know that was like the first chapter.
I was
Yeah,
like,
such a great opener.
oh my gosh. And then she ends up
Mhm.
working as a crime scene cleaner. And she's cleaning up these crime scenes and like she doesn't really like come in at like there's no bodies there. They come in after the fact, but she's starting to like put together pieces that there were East Asian women who have died and like she thinks maybe they may be connected, that there may be like a string of murders happening, but then there's also like these ghosts appearing in the walls. Oh, there's so much happening and it's all amazing and it's so scary.
And now I have to read it before my book club date. So
It is so good. I loved it. It's just like I feel like it's the perfect combination of like those thriller aspects with the potential serial killer in the back, with like
Yeah.
social commentary, with horror, and like the horror aspects being so connected to like her cultural background. I just think it was like the perfect horror. I loved it.
This is very exciting.
I really like featuring the job too of the crime scene cleanup, because it's something like you
Mhm.
don't really see on page like often, or even in like TV. I feel like it's not really like, obviously somebody's doing it. That's super interesting. I used
And
to follow
the main character also struggles.
who did it.
Oh, sorry, Naomi, go ahead.
I was just saying I used to follow a guy on TikTok and that was his job.
Mm.
Interesting. I don't know if it's explicitly mentioned either in the book, Steph, but I think the main character has OCD. And or if not, maybe some like obsessive compulsive tendencies. So
Mhm.
that is definitely interesting as well with her being a crime scene cleanup person. So that level was cool too. I don't know, the book was great. The trauma cleaner.
Adding it to my TBR immediately.
Cheyenne, I honestly would have to go back and look because I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to figure out if I just like
I don't
put
think
that together or
she explicitly
if
said
it
she
was
was
explicitly
diagnosed,
mentioned. I don't
because it
think.
also felt a little bit like a trauma response to both her sister's
Yeah,
death and her job and what was happening around her. But there were
yeah.
definitely, it felt very authentic to me, just her thought process and the way that she's having this fear around germs, which of
Yeah.
course was very present. Um, but also just this fear of like what she's bringing into her home.
Hmm. Yeah, Cheyenne, I don't think it was like a poor representation, and also like Steph said, it wasn't like explicitly mentioned. I know some a lot of times people talk about OCD and they'll just be like, "Oh, I want to be clean." So it was not like that at all. I
No,
feel like
it's disabling for sure.
yeah, absolutely.
I feel like that's going to be one of my favorite reads of the year.
I'm excited for you to read it.
Yeah.
Should we keep talking about new
Yeah.
release or upcoming release?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a good one,
Okay.
Steph?
I really want, yeah, I'm so excited about this. Blood in the Water by Tiffany D. Jackson. Just because
Yeah.
this also
Yes.
goes back to my childhood roots. One of my favorite movies was Jaws. I was really on my like Steven Spielberg like animatronic monster kick. But I also grew up in Massachusetts. So Blood in the Water, it's not like a Jaws retelling, but it's like it's throwing some nods, you know. So I mean, I don't know. I haven't read it, but I will definitely be asking for it, begging for it.
Mhm.
But it's a murder mystery on Martha's Vineyard, where there's this girl from Brooklyn. She's like spending the summer with family friends, and like there's some aspect of like the rich society that she feels like weird about being a part of, I think. And then there's a strange murder, and people don't know if it was a murder or if it was a drowning or if it was a shark attack. And so she has to investigate that.
Ooh,
Jaws.
Cover
I
is
had
so good
that.
too. Can someone drop the cover if they haven't already?
Oh, it's a good cover too.
Yeah, I had that one on my radar just because I love Tiffany D. Jackson, but I had no clue what it was about, and that makes me even more excited. Do you know when it's coming out, Steph?
It's gotta be summer. It's the
It's
most
July
summer
1st.
vibe.
July. Okay.
But
July 1st. The cover is so good.
yeah, I'm sure someone will put it.
I have not read anything by Tiffany Jackson yet, but I own pretty much all of them. I know. So which one should I read first, guys?
Naomi,
Uh,
that's crazy.
I know.
She writes so many different. I mean, like she's written like so many different
I don't think I've read
genres
her
and stuff.
either.
they're all just like they all twist the knife in different ways. Like they
Monday's
all
Not Coming, I
do.
think, is my favorite.
What's
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
name?
I think Monday's Not Coming is my favorite.
I
Okay.
liked Monday's Not it's hard to say I liked. Um
Right,
I would
right.
rate Monday's Not Coming higher than Allegedly, but I haven't disliked anything. Maybe I liked White Smoke the
Yeah,
least. I also liked the Carrie retelling,
yeah. What was
um
that one called? Weight of Blood, The Weight of Blood.
Weight of Blood.
If you're gonna read The Weight of Blood, if you like audiobooks, you should definitely listen to it as an audiobook because the
Okay.
audiobook narration is great.
Does the audiobook include like do they do like effects for the different because it's epistolary, so
Hmm.
it has like
Yeah.
podcast. Yeah, so I read it. So
Hmm.
I read like the podcast transcripts, but I imagine that's really
Yeah,
That's
it
the way to.
is. Yeah, it's great as an audio. Hmm.
Okay.
Which is a Carrie retelling. Yeah, super good.
Natalie, we should buddy read.
Um,
We can do our first Tiffany Jackson.
Okay.
She's an icon. I can't believe you haven't read any of her books.
I know. I'm such
I'm
a reader
excited.
that when
Oh, sorry.
things pass by me, I'll try them and then I'll move on to something completely different. So Anya Aubrey might be the only one that I've stuck with for a while. Like I just read stuff that I find from her when it pops up. And otherwise, I'm just like, oh, manga, sure, why not? And then Ice Planet Barbarians, why not? And then I'll just
Yeah,
switch back to
that's
Bloom by
relatable.
Delilah S. Dawson and then go somewhere else. So I have a hard time having like favorite authors because I just keep bouncing around
Sure.
all the time.
I will say her books are so easy to get through too. Like she writes YA, and I feel like her books are very like I don't know. I just feel like they're very accessible. They're very fast paced. They're very interesting. Like I don't think she has a slow paced book that would be like boring to read. So it's easy to just like fly through them. I love Tiffany
Oh, The
Jackson.
Weight of Blood. Okay, I have seen that cover and I have it on my TBR. Okay. Okay, I feel a little bit better.
I'm excited this year for Eat the Ones You Love. Do you guys have that on your radar? By Sarah Maria Griffin.
No.
Oh, what was it called?
Um, Eat the Ones You Love. Let me put the cover in here if I can. It is so beautiful. Um, this one I haven't read yet, but it comes out in April, so a little sooner, which is exciting. This
Oh,
is
that's cool.
it says it's like a twisted, tangled story about plants with a taste for human flesh.
Sold.
Um, right.
Sold.
So I'm like I'm into it. It's about a woman who just left her fiance. She's moved to her parents' house. She needs a change. So she goes into like a flower shop, I think, to get a job there, and then realizes that it's like a lot more than she could have anticipated. And I'm excited about it.
I
Killer
love the cover.
plants. Yeah,
Plants,
same.
yes. I'm excited for The Bewitching by Sylvia Moreno Garcia.
Yes. So much.
Um,
I
anything
started
Sylvia
that one.
Moreno Garcia writes, I'm always excited to read. She's one of my favorite horror authors. I've read a lot
Mhm.
of her stuff. Um,
I feel like she's so interesting because if you had like hidden the author's name and told me that all of her books were written by different people, like I'd kind of believe you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
yeah,
Hmm.
I
She's
I
like a
agree
chameleon, kind of. Yeah.
very much. And all of them to me are really solid. Some of them fall off towards the end for me, but that doesn't
Hmm.
keep me from reading more of her stuff. Like it's never been, I'm always just like 4-ish stars and on to the next. So, because
Hmm.
she, like you said, she has such range and the ability to shapeshift when she's telling these stories that you don't, if you did do blind, like just go in blind and didn't know. I agree with that. I never thought about it, but you're right. Because I read a short story by her too. The Tiger Came to the Mountain.
Mhm.
It
Yeah, I
was
read that.
it was pretty good but it was different than everything else. And then her short story, The
Hmm.
Lover, was like kind of fairy tale-ish almost,
Ooh.
like a wolf in the woods kind of vibe. And
Mhm.
I just really like her. So I'm excited for The Bewitching.
Okay, so here's something that wasn't prepared that I'm going to ask you all because I get the sense that you've all read more than one Sylvia Moreno Garcia, so I need your top three.
I've only read 3.
Ah,
Then this will be very easy for you.
Hmm.
Mexican
Oh,
Gothic
and
for sure.
The Bewitching comes out in July 15th. So
July is going to be a really great month for books.
let me see. Let me see what I've read by
I know
her.
I'm looking at her books. Okay, Seventh Veil of Salome. Have you guys read that one?
I haven't
I feel
read the
like
one
that
yet.
one is just brushed past too much. Like I'm stuck on the Seventh Veil of Salome. It was so good. If you
Okay.
like, it's very like old school, like Hollywood kind of vibes, which
Mhm.
typically I'm not into, but for some reason I loved this book. Um, that one just came out last year, I
Yeah.
think.
Mhm.
But that's definitely my top three. I'm trying to
That's only
think.
one book. What are the other ones?
And Mexican Gothic,
Mexican Gothic,
and
Silver
how about
Nitrate,
the Jade and Shadow?
Hmm.
uh, Silver Nitrate, Mexican Gothic, and The Lover.
So I think my
Okay.
top one is Mexican Gothic, which is I
Yeah.
think a shared opinion.
Mhm.
The other two I've read are Silver Nitrate. which I did enjoy. Maybe that's number 3. And then I think number 2 would be Certain Dark Things, which I don't really hear a lot of people talk about.
I
It's
like
a
that
vampire
too.
book.
Mm-hmm.
Vampire book. It's very
Hold
fun.
on.
So my top
Certain
three,
Dark Things is super fun.
my top 3 is The Beautiful Ones, The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, and Certain Dark Things.
I haven't read
My
the first 2.
least
Why did
favorite-
you make the face when I said The Gods of Jade and Shadow? You didn't like that one?
My least favorite was God of Jade and Shadow. My second least favorite is Mexican Gothic.
Okay.
Can we can we take over as admin? Someone boot her.
Literally, you're out.
Turn your camera off. No reason.
That's
Oh my gosh.
crazy.
I'm
I
just
don't know
looking.
how
I
you
love the Certain Dark Things cover. I'm looking at it.
And
and
the
Oh.
Daughter of Dr. Moreau is supposed to be a TV show.
Ooh,
I haven't read that one yet.
So
I have
I haven't
Velvet
read
is
Silver
the
Night
Night.
either.
I like
I didn't really
Silver
like
Night.
Velvet is the Night.
I haven't read it, but I found it like at a used bookstore, and so I was like,
Velvet was the Night is probably my least favorite book I've read by her.
Oh, really? Hmm.
Mhm.
Did that
It's very
one
like
is
slow
kind
burn.
of it's kind of noir, right? Isn't there another one? Like,
Yes.
have you read Signal
Yeah.
to Noise?
Have I read what?
Signal to Noise.
No. Who's that by? That's
It's
not by
by
Silver Night.
Sylvia Moreno Garcia.
oh,
Really? I've
Yeah.
literally never heard of that.
Yeah.
no, I've never heard of that either.
2022.
Oh.
She's busy.
She is
It's
very
really
Right.
busy.
It's insane.
Ooh, all of her covers are so good
so good.
and so different.
Yeah. She's a queen. Should we answer before we go? I know there were some Discord questions that some of you guys had from your Discord people.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
I'm also excited about Bury Your Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab.
Oh, me too.
Oh, I've never read a book
what's
by
funny?
V.E. Schwab.
I read
I didn't know that was her.
the only book I read
Got
by her was
vampires
the
in it.
first one in the Dark Magic series, and I was like, this is not for me. Haven't read a book from her since because I just feel like they're not for me. But this new one looks really, really good.
Yeah,
I'm
it
interested.
has the same feel of like Wayward. To me, I don't know. I haven't read it yet. I have the arc, but I don't know what's wrong with me. But like 3 different lines of women from different periods of time, and it just sounds good. I'm excited. And
Maybe that'll
vampires.
be my first V.E. Schwab.
Yeah.
I've
If
never
if
loved
vampires are in the
Vintage Bob, though.
story, if a vampire is in a story, does
I
it
will
make
read it.
horror? I will read it,
That's
but
true.
does it make it horror?
I'm just gonna say yes.
I don't think.
I
I
mean,
don't
it could
know.
be romance.
But that's
Like,
horror.
Or a
also.
normal horror.
it's horror and
romance.
it's
To me,
horror
that's
in my opinion.
paranormal. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'll have to read that one because I haven't read anything else by her. You're right. It does remind me. I'm like reading the description now of Wayward. I love Wayward,
I did not
but
read
I like that different like timelines.
Yeah.
Has anyone else read Joelle Wellington?
no.
No, I've never heard of it.
Oh, I've had a really fun time with her books. She's coming out with a 3rd this summer. But she wrote the most recent one she wrote. Also, her covers are very fun, but The Blonde Dies First.
Oh, I've seen that. Okay.
Yeah, which is like a group of friends. They're like these 2 sisters. One of them is like going off to college a year early, so they're like, we're gonna have the best summer ever. And they're kind of in like 2 different weird social groups because one sister is going to this like fancy private school. Yeah, look at that cover.
Cool.
It's so good. All of her covers are kind of like thematically in the same universe, even though the books are very different, which I find interesting. But anyway, they go to a party with a Ouija board, accidentally summon a demon, and it's like very campy fun. It's very meta because they're all like, there's like a slasher movie fan friend in the group, so they're like, this is what we have to do, like this is who the demon's gonna target first, and like we have to
fun.
take it out. Yeah, it's super sweet, and it's just got this lovely little arc around the sisters who are like growing apart and like trying to figure out how to like make sure their relationship is going to stay the same post like leaving high school. So it's really sweet, really fun, funny, and spooky.
Spooky.
And she's got a new one.
Do you guys have has anybody started The Unworthy? Oh, I didn't
No,
know.
I read
you know
it.
what?
Yeah.
I need
You like
you
it?
I need you to read it and give your opinions because I have not heard good things.
I didn't No, I didn't really love it. No, I'm so sad that I didn't. It just felt
Oh, well, I
very,
didn't like her book from her short story collection last
I
year.
hated that.
So
I
did
know.
I.
I didn't just dislike it. I just hated it. I really did.
Yeah.
I was so sad. I wanted to like it. I love religious horror,
Yeah.
style horror, and also dystopian. It made
Yeah.
sense that I would like it, and then I just didn't care one way or the other.
Bummer.
I
I hope I
know.
like it. I was like, I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel because obviously I love Tender as the Flesh. And then her short story collection from last year, I really disliked. So I was like, maybe this one I'll love since it's a novel again. Like maybe I shouldn't like her short stories. Um, the cover's sick though. I love the cover. I know I have my blur feature on, so you guys can't see, but
It's in the chat,
Bummer. Yes,
and
Mhm.
it's
oh, cool, cool.
cool.
that is
It's
come
so
through.
cool.
That is
I'm
cool.
sad, but it is what it is. You can't win them all.
Yeah.
But maybe you'll love it. I hope you do.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I hope I do too.
Um,
I would love to hear
before
people's answers. Oh, go ahead.
uh go ahead.
Well, I was about to change the subject, but it sounded
Okay,
like you
I
had
was
something.
going to change the subject too.
I
But I'm not
want to
like,
hear people's answers to the least favorite horror trope question. I'm curious.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't know because I know what I like. That's super easy. Like
Right.
nightmares, like um creepy children, love that. Ghosts, love that. But
Mhm.
I think mine, the only one that came to mind was miscommunication because I just don't like miscommunication ever. But I'm willing to let it go a little bit more in horror because y'all are in a situation. We're not
Right.
like taking a moment to plug in and be present with our thoughts. And so it's fine if you didn't properly outline your plan. But I still don't like it if it can all be solved with somebody just going like, "Hey, first we need to do this," and then someone else being like, "Cool."
Yeah. Grayson, yes, that is mine, especially if it's like haunted house and the people choose to believe that like something's not haunted or they don't believe in like ghosts or whatever. I hate that. If I
It's
read a
so
horror and it's
fun.
like they actually all believe in ghosts and stuff, I'm like, thank God, because I can't deal with nobody believing each other or one person experiencing something and then the other person just like doesn't believe that those sorts of things are real. I hate
Especially when
that.
it's like the wife believes it and
Oh
then
yeah,
her
Yeah,
husband
that's
no, I
always
her
what
can't.
it
husband
is.
is like, yeah, I mean that's
You're
such a common trope,
crazy.
and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah,
I
I
actually
hate that
really,
one too.
I think I'm the opposite because I really like that. And I think I really, really like it because you know that character who doesn't believe or is being such a jerk about it, they're going to die the most horrific death. And it makes the death even more
True.
endearing.
Yeah,
Steph,
I
what's
just
your least
can't. I don't
favorite?
like that either.
I really don't like unless there's like an excellent reason, like it's a social commentary reason, because I do like social horror, but I hate it when like supernatural things are explained away in the end.
Yes.
Like especially if a book is like pitched as
Mm,
supernatural, like
Mhm.
give me the
yes.
ghosts. I want it to be
Yes.
Yes.
supernatural.
That is, yeah. I was gonna say a book, but I can't because I feel like it's a big spoiler
Yeah,
for the book.
I have a couple in mind, but yeah, I can't say it.
Yeah.
But you know the
Can
trope.
you look at my
Yeah.
Goodreads list and see if I've read it and then tell me?
No, I still ended up the book I'm thinking of was came out last year by an author I love, and I still loved the book, but it did have that thing that Steph is mentioning, which I do tend to hate. But
Now
I
I
did
just need
still
to
like the book.
know. I need to
I'll
see.
message you later.
I also
Message me,
don't really
okay.
like I don't really like when like they have the moment in the end to like kill the villain and they're like, you know what? I'm not gonna sink down to their level.
I
I'm
hate
like,
that
Do
Please
too.
it.
sink down.
he's gonna
We're
come
already in
back.
hell. Just do it.
Please don't be the bigger person.
No, it's stupid. I don't like that. I
What
don't
about
like either
favorite?
when they consistently
Necessary
keep
desecrations,
making
it's fine.
like when they keep making bad decisions too. Like one, you hear the hotel is haunted and you're like, "We'll stay anyway." Bad decision. Great. And then they're like, "I heard something." You're like, "I'll go check it out." Like don't like you, and then they keep doing it like we need to call for help, but first I have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, no, we have to call for help. I'm gonna check out this room. I quit. Like once they just keep making bad decisions, I don't care what happens to them
Yeah.
anymore. I don't even want to know. Just
I feel like
die.
that's lazy storytelling too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a positive comment that I leave in a lot of reviews is like I loved how like smart and careful this
Yeah.
protagonist was. Like I appreciated her decision making even when it was,
Hmm.
even when it didn't turn out well.
I don't like it now. I found that out. recently. But when I was younger and I was reading the Fear Street novels and stuff, I like how every single chapter at the end is like this cliffhanger moment, where it's like, he showed up late for our date and he's covered in blood. And then the next chapter starts and it's like, sorry, I ran into somebody carrying spaghetti. And it's like, shoo. And like the next chapter does the same thing. It's like his shoes were muddy. And then the next one is like, oh yeah, I was out in the woods with my friends earlier. Like, oh, he wasn't burying a body. Phew. You know, like every single chapter.
I compare
love
that to like old school TV writing because it's like that's the commercial break
Yeah.
where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, now I've got to keep watching.
Yeah. I liked it when I was a kid. I do not like that now. So tastes change over time.
Before we segue into questions, I'm just going to throw up two books that I actually haven't read yet, but I'm planning to do a read along for both in my Discord that I think people might find interesting. Both are nonfiction. So it's Men, Women, and Chainsaws, Gender in the Modern Horror Film by Carol Clover.
Ooh.
I'm super excited to read this one. And then the second one is House of Psychotic Women. This one, it has a lot of horror movies that focus on psychotic women. And I'm bringing this one up because I don't know if anyone has a Shudder subscription for horror movies. They pair it with AMC. So if you have a subscription to AMC, you probably have it. But they now have a playlist of several of the movies that are featured in this book.
Oh, cool.
I need to do more like horror nonfiction, so that's cool.
I got another one about the haunted house. Can I find it? Probably not.
Haunted house thing. Well, we read Just Like Home with my book club by I think Sarah Gailey is her name. I really like the cover,
Yeah.
which is why we picked it. Why I was drawn to it. Yes, beautiful cover, creepy, and it's pink.
Yeah.
So
I'm so disorganized. I will share the haunted house one later as soon as I find it.
do y'all want another question?
Yes.
What horror book do you think you could survive, and what's your plan?
Okay, so this is such a good question because I am planning to do a TikTok on this, and I think everybody should, like which horror you would survive. I definitely it's easier for me to tell you what I wouldn't survive. I would not survive Brother because if that were my situation, just kill me. And I would not survive anything with zombies because I like listen, I don't care. I'm not breaking into grocery stores and trying to figure out how to open a can of beans. I'm
Dropping
just not,
iodine in the water.
I'm not running. Just take me. You know what I mean?
That's surviving in a sense. I'd be a great zombie.
Yeah, you'll live forever. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I said this isn't a female written book, so this is my one man. I said that I would survive Ghost Eaters by Clay McLeod Chapman.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a botanical horror-ish because they're taking this drug that lets you see behind the veil and talk to people that you've lost and stuff. And one, I have no interest in talking to anybody that I've lost. I think that's scary. But also, I've never really done any drugs. So I would just be sitting around watching everybody else trip their ass off. You know, like, wow, demon baby. You don't say. Climbing the wall? Wow. Yeah. Well, I'm going to go and then I would be fine. So
The fact that you said that is so funny because when I was trying to think of like what horror book I would survive, I was thinking, what's the new one he just came out with? Wake Up and Open Your Eyes, by the same author. Have you
yeah,
guys read that yet?
I have it and I know what it's about. So yeah.
Love that book. It's basically for anybody that hasn't read it, it's about like Fox News spreading like I don't know, like demonic possession
Propaganda.
around to its viewers and stuff. Yeah. Loved that book. I thought it was great. But I think I would survive that one.
Also, just to be clear, I don't have a problem with people doing drugs. I just never done them. And so I know that they would be like, here's some mushrooms. First of all, I don't like mushrooms either, so I'm not going to eat them.
Yeah.
And I would just get out of jail for free in this book. I would just be passed over completely. So
I would definitely survive Guillotine by Delilah Dawson because I don't have any money and I don't like people who do.
I thought about that being my answer too, because we would be on the staff, I feel.
Yeah, oh yeah. I would be on the staff and it wouldn't be like I would be like just eat them. I don't care. So if you really want to eat the rich, you need to read this book like immediately, please.
It's so good. And it's pink,
And
which is always a plus for me.
it's pink and it's little. It's like read in a day type of thing.
I feel like I would be fine in Black Sheep. It's if you've read it or if you've
That's a
not
pink
read
book
it.
too.
Um
It is.
that is a pink book. Um it's about, or the situation of the book is that there's this young woman who's going back to like her very toxic religious cult of a family, and like part of that is a fun twist, so I won't spoil it, but just like that's Thanksgiving. Please. Please. I'm fine. I could do that
That's
no
light
problem.
work.
Yeah, good point.
In and out of there. I can smile at the right moments.
Yeah, just glaze over. Yeah. Okay. I'll see y'all later. There was another one that's kind of similar that I had. My Discord asked if you could jump into any horror book and be any character, who would you want to be and why?
Oh,
I want something gothic and spooky.
Why?
Well,
To be in?
Yeah.
To read for sure.
No, I would go there. I would be in a castle with ghosts and stuff. I would befriend them. I would have like nice dinners and wear long dresses and just flop around the the halls. It would
like
be nice.
I don't think that's how it works out.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
like, I'm just thinking
I don't
about
think you're
Mexican
just walking
Gothic.
around in a pretty dress. I think you're getting dead.
Well, see, here's the thing.
maybe if you're a side
so
character.
if the ghosts like me, which I feel like I could make them like me, then they're no longer a threat, but there's still a horror element. So I'm in a horror book. I don't know what this book is. This is a hypothetical book, but that would be where I want.
Then you're just in a fantasy. Then you're in like a lots of way. And you've got
Leave-
friendly ghost dogs. Dream.
Leave me alone.
I do love that one.
I just
I
started. Oh, sorry.
no, I was gonna say Slewfoot.
Oh.
Ooh, I like Slewfoot.
I would go there. I would be
I don't know if
Abatha.
I'd want to go there. It's like,
I would just be Abatha,
that?
and then I fall in love and fly off.
doing all
And
that like farming and stuff.
I mean, I did that when I was a kid anyway, so
Oh, okay.
right back in. It's like riding a bike.
I feel like I could hop into the eyes are the best part, but like I just
Ooh.
wouldn't like kill people and eat their eyes. I would just like plot some other revenge where like
I love that.
I wouldn't get caught or anything, like I wouldn't take bold risks, but I would mess up my new toxic family, my new toxic stepdad, or what, the situation for sure.
I love that book.
It's such a good book.
I don't know which one I'd really like to be thrown into. It has to be.
I would. Yeah, I'd rather be not thrown into any horror books, but I am currently reading Into the Drowning Deep.
Oh yes,
I
you know
have my
what?
blur on. And I'm only like 120 pages in, so like nothing crazy's happened yet. And by the end, I'm probably not gonna want to be in this book.
No.
But this nice like cruise ship they're on in the middle of the ocean seems kind of nice for at the moment. So until the
No.
killer mermaids show up,
No.
I'm in on that.
No. Oh,
I
boy.
I really enjoyed that book.
I'm
That's
really
good.
liking it. It's my book club book for this month.
She has a book coming out this year too, I think.
Yes.
She's an icon. She has like, and she writes under different
Yeah, I had a
names
book
and has so many
written.
different-
Oh no, it was under the Mirror grant name that I had on my list. Feed, but that is a book that I would so not want to be in. But I feel like with some horror books, it's like there's this one entity and then like you defeat it and it's okay. But just like
Yeah.
the world of Feed is so scary. It's a zombie apocalypse book, but it's not like in the it's a different style of book. It's like political satire almost, so it follows these journalists who are
Ooh.
on the campaign trail, but just their world has zombies. Um, and it's almost like it's kind of like pandemic vibes, where like anytime they go anywhere, they take a test to like check for the active zombie virus before like they go in. Like it's just part of like the security for like the political events. And every time they were waiting for like the little light to turn red or green, I was just like dripping with sweat. It was so scary. And there weren't a lot of like, there's not a ton of like action, there's not a ton of death. It's more like just the scope of the world is so scary.
Ooh, I have to read that one. All
So
of her books would be such good movies.
So fun. I
her
think
new
it's
one is called
the
Overgrowth.
one.
It's coming out in May. It's
Okay.
Annihilation meets Day of the Triffids in full-on body horror alien invasion apocalypse.
Ooh, is it under Mira Grant or Shauna
Under,
McGuire?
it's under Mira Grant.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to read that. Fun, guys.
The reviews look good.
When did you say when it comes out?
May 6th.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Ooh, what a cover.
Thank you, Zenzi, for sharing all the covers.
I know it's
Yes.
back. We've done this out of order, but does everybody want to kind of say who they are and what they do?
To wrap up.
So I dropped the link to all of our binderies in the chat. So if you haven't yet, go and subscribe to everyone. And hopefully we're able to do some more events together in the future.
This
I
is
think
fun.
I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is super fun.
Yeah. So we're all tastemakers for Bindery. And if you haven't checked that out yet, I think you absolutely should. I'm from the Mixed Up Desk pretty much everywhere on social media. I give a lot of Indigenous book recommendations. I also love women in horror, and I read in pretty much every genre. There's not a genre that I don't like. So that's me. And I have a lot of book tea. And I'm nosy. So
Who's next?
And you have a publishing imprint.
I do have a publishing imprint currently looking for our first book. We did extend an offer to someone. It was declined recently, so we're still on the hunt.
Oh,
Bummer.
Yeah.
still exciting though that you're doing it.
It's super
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah.
Aubrey, you go next.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Aubrey. You can find me mostly on TikTok at Earl Grey Please or on my Bindery EGP. And I mostly talk about diverse horror books. I especially love to talk about Black horror, but again, I read all genres. So yeah, that's me. TikTok is usually the number one place that you'll find me for the most part, if it's still around for a while.
In 2 weeks, we don't know again.
Yeah.
This is
But
can't
I'm on
take this.
Instagram.
Is it only 2
Yeah.
weeks?
Yeah, like April 15th or something like that.
And like it's been like radio silent, so
Very sorry if you already follow me. You can expect 20 shop videos a day at this point. So
So stressful. Well, I'm Natalie. I'm mostly on YouTube, thankfully, because I started yelling about bad books that I read. So that's kind of like my main thing is I read shitty books and then complain about them. But I really do also like books and I read books that I enjoy and I read in many different genres. Horror and darker things just kind of stick out to me. My bindery is called Boneyard Picnic, and it kind of goes towards like if I'm not a publishing imprint yet, but if I get to that point, I want to publish books that have that blend of creepy, macabre, boneyard, and sustenance and warmth with a picnic and combine them. The best example I can think of is The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshana Chokshi. I loved that book. It was so spooky and that had like an estate they were creeping around on, and it had like realistic, like real life horror things. There was a lot going on. It was dark, but it was really kind of, it felt good to read and it felt bad at times too. It was just a lot of good things and in a dark little creepy setting. So, um, that's the kind of stuff that I want to explore more on my bindery and talk about and kind of balance out all of the haunting Adeline credence crap that I read so much. That's the kind of stuff that I usually like and talk about. And sometimes I'm funny. So there's that.
Clearly. I'm Steph. I go by Starry Steph on all my channels. I do short form videos on TikTok and Instagram, and that's also where I'm just like uploading stories and like more casual things. And then I do long form videos on YouTube as well. And my bindery is celestial. I kind of have like a space theme going on. So I define my taste as like otherworldly books. So speculative fiction, mostly horror, fantasy, and sci-fi, and especially like things that blend those genres. I have a book club as well. I also talk a lot about theater and musical theater. I'm based in New York, or I'm based in New Jersey, but I go to NYC a lot to see shows and to chat about that as well. So yeah, weird books, disturbing books, fun fantasy books, dystopian, speculative fiction, and I'm Starry Steph everywhere.
Oh, I
This
also
was so fun, guys.
I'm Weirdo Book Club on TikTok and Blue Sky and everywhere, really. That's my YouTube is Weirdo Book Club, but my bindery's called Boneyard Picnic. I had to make things complicated.
Yeah, I love that feature that you just commented on in the chat. Like there's a new feature on Bindery, if anyone in this room doesn't know, where if you click on a book that someone has recommended, you can see other videos from other people talking about who have also talked about that book and like tag that book in their content. So it's a really fun way to find people that share your reading taste. But I agree.
Totally.
I think they should do a directory, or I think they're working on it to make everyone more searchable.
I really
You're muted. There we go.
like I like clicking on the books when I talk about them to see what my friends are
I'm
saying. If
so
they've said
nosy. Yeah, I
anything.
do it every time.
Yeah, I love it.
I think they're working on making Bindery a more user-friendly experience, and hopefully they'll have something where you can just log in and scroll everybody who you're following soon. That's my biggest ask from them, and I think that they're
Yeah.
working on it. Just because I know so many of you follow so many different creators there, and so many more creators are joining every month, that having a place to scroll like an actual social media page would be really nice.
Yeah.
I like a feed. Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
really helpful.
Yeah.
Because I want to see what y'all are up to too, but it's like tedious to have to go through and find you guys and stuff. A lot,
Yeah.
most of y'all are bookmarked for me when I just go through there, but it would be nice to have everything in one place.
So thanks everybody for coming out and joining us today and hear us ramble about the books that we love and the books that are coming up, and hopefully some book club books coming up soon. Make sure if you haven't already, click on everyone's link before I close out of this chat. I think we'll all probably write something up and include the books that we talked about today. And also, like, I will link to everybody else. So if you're following me, you'll have easy access to follow everybody if you missed clicking on something. And I think that's it, unless anyone wanted to add anything.
Were there any
So
questions in the
thank
chat?
you.
I didn't
Oh yeah,
see
we
it.
can definitely take a couple of questions if anyone wants to drop any questions in the chat.
What are we doing with this recording? Should we share it in our binderies or put it on YouTube?
I'm gonna upload it onto YouTube, and then I'll share the link with everybody, and you can post it wherever you want,
Cool.
whether in your bindery or link to it. Yeah.
Fun.
Awesome.
Doesn't seem like anybody has any questions. So
I
we had
think
so
we
many
asked that
good
way
ones.
too late.
This was so much fun. I hope that
It
we can
was.
do another event soon. I loved it.
Totally. Thank you
inviting us.
guys.
All right. Bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Everyone.